Okay, welcome back everyone to Strange Planet Podcast. And for this week, we are going to be talking about accountability in American politics and politicians for that matter. Because it doesn't seem like it matters which side you pick, because there's only two sides, as we already know. But they all talk a lot of shit, but there is no accountability for the things they don't do and the actions of what they do, especially in this term that we're witnessing right now. Um, Before I take my stab at this, what do you guys think about accountability in American politics and politicians?
I'll just say, generally speaking, humans have trouble with being held accountable.
Mm,
It's not a great feeling when, you have a responsibility that you didn't fulfill, or you took an action that you, well, maybe not regret in the case of some politicians, but that causes some backlash or some harm to people, and you just don't want to deal with it. Humans are very good at dodging and sidestepping, being accountable for their actions, and that is just a human thing.
true.
In politics, it's a little bit intensified because you have people holding, in many cases, elected office, and anything you say or do can be held against you in the court of public opinion and at the polls.
True.
And so, what we're talking about here, though, is whether we have the systems in place to hold people accountable for their actions. And we've seen time and time again, namely one individual, but it happens, to some others as well who've escaped accountability. But one individual in particular has sort of escaped accountability again and again. And I think everyone knows who we're talking about, and that's
Hmm.
Donald Trump.
Yep. Orange spray tan.
He has had 91 criminal indictments, was convicted on, I think, 37 of them,
Hmm.
and did not see a day of jail time. His suit for by Letitia James in New York for defrauding the state in terms of taxes, lying about, the size of his buildings in order to get tax breaks and also to get loans.
Hmm.
Um,
Stealing from
yeah,
charities.
well, yeah, but just on that single suit, he, owed close to $500 million, and to date, he hasn't paid a dime. The appellate court in New York overturned that ruling for damages, and so I guess they're going to have to figure out, how much he exactly owes, because that amount was deemed excessive, although I don't really see that. It's kind of an intentional, long-term thing that he did in defrauding the state of New York as well as
Hmm.
banks. And he's a very wealthy person. And so, what type of punishment befits, the crime? It's got to be, something substantial in order to deter him and others like him who would do the same thing from ever committing that again.
Right.
And now, without, the damages, without jail time, without even a sense of how we hold a president who ignores the Constitution deliberately, and may commit and has committed crimes in the name of the presidency. How do we hold that person accountable now? One way is for the citizens to hold him accountable at the polls. We didn't do that. We didn't get that done. Another way is impeachment, and that's not going to happen anytime soon.
You got that right.
Another way is through the media, and he's kind of locked that down. If you're not on board, or if you
Speak
say
out
too much
against.
against him,
Hmm.
you're out of the White House press room.
Or you
Um,
just get
you're
shut
not
down like
in.
Colbert. Like,
Yeah. Well, yeah. I mean, that's a decision of a private company that was probably pressured due to the merger between uh, Paramount
Sundance, right?
and Sundance, right? And so, you know, that's kind of a different scenario, but also somewhat related. But
Right.
there's just so many like things that, and actually, let me go back a second. The Supreme Court has basically written a blank check for the president to do anything he wants criminally, and
in the
as
name of
long
the presidency.
as long as it's deemed an official act of the president, as long as he uses presidential power to do it, he escapes criminal prosecution. Now, we couldn't prosecute the president while he was in office, and it's just going to make it harder to prosecute a president while he's out of office or after he leaves office. I mean, like, this was the danger of electing this person, because
Hmm.
he's already proven himself to be a criminal. Okay, I can say that because he was convicted. He is
Yep.
still a convicted criminal. Those
Oh yeah.
charges, and that hasn't gone away.
Yeah, these are facts we're
Um,
talking here.
so you know, I just it's extremely frustrating that our institutions have um, fallen short of holding someone who is clearly um, thinks himself to be above the law accountable for his actions. And now there are others, like in public life, who also escape accountability, at least for long periods of time. You have Epstein, who when he was arrested the first time, he got a kind of a sweetheart deal, and was allowed to leave, and it's like a work release, or um he really wasn't punished the first time for his horrible crimes. And you know Ghislaine Maxwell, she is currently serving time, but she was moved to a minimum security prison for, basically privileged people who committed white collar crimes, even though her crime wasn't white collar, it
No, it was
was
not.
deplorable.
Yeah.
Not
Unbelievable.
not only did she help Epstein in his crimes, but she also committed crimes upon some of the victims herself. And I think that's the thing that people overlook.
Mm.
Just because Epstein is like the focus, she also committed some of the abuse herself. Um, and for her to receive an audience with the president's personal lawyer, um, who I guess is at DOJ now, but he was the president's personal lawyer. Um, and then moved to a posh minimum security facility, is, you know, she is, and possibly going to get a reduction of sentence or a pardon,
That would
or
be sickening.
she's looking for something. Um, in terms of, in exchange for denying all of Trump's responsibility or involvement in
Hmm.
Epstein's crimes. Um, she's looking for something in return. And, you know, who does get held accountable? More, regular people.
Like I was
Regular
about to
people
add.
get, held accountable every day in courts of law. People, get arrested, go into the system, get sentenced, serve
Right?
time.
Yeah,
And
because like for example, if an average Joe decided to, defraud a charity or do some of the heinous things that we just discussed just now, there wouldn't be a second thought as to what happened to the average Joe. You know what I mean? They're accountability to the max. But so seems politicians and the wealthy can slip through the cracks and still do these heinous things, and there's no
right,
accountability for it.
but
Everybody just looks the other
it's
way.
not all politicians. Like
No, because not all of them are like that. That's true.
look at George Santos. George Santos is now in prison.
That took a while, but
It
at
it
least,
did
yeah,
take
at
a
least it
while,
happened.
but the legal process sometimes takes a while. But he is serving time now. Uh, Bob Menendez also,
Yep. Yeah.
didn't escape. He escaped the first time,
Yep. But not the second time.
but this time he went back for more,
Yeah.
and
Greed, man.
yeah.
That's the
Oh, I mean,
definition of
that's
that.
what happens when you don't hold people, and
Yeah.
particularly politicians, accountable. They feel emboldened
Yeah,
by the
exactly.
fact that, they did something wrong and got away with it. And now, you know,
You're
what
worse.
else can I get away with? Yeah. I mean, it's an addiction to them.
Hmm.
And, we're just
Push the
going to
limit.
see how that, you know, sort of impunity manifests itself with Trump, because he, did a lot of shit. 91 indictments is not a small number.
And you got that right.
And he he got away with it. He's not going to prison. He's not really paying any money.
And what kind of a standards is that
Um,
set right now, too?
and to
You
the
know?
extent that he does pay any money, it's dwarfed by the amount that he's making, as a grifter in the Oval Office.
Yep.
Hmm.
And so, there's no punishment for him really. He's rewarded, in fact, for
Yeah.
committing
Yeah.
those crimes. He's rewarded for January 6th. He rewarded the people who committed the attack on our Capitol with pardons.
Yeah.
Uh, he
As
said,
crazy as that sounds.
you did this on my behalf, and you are rewarded with a pardon for your crimes. It's just a shame that you think you live in a country that, upholds fairness and justice for all,
Equality.
but that isn't the
Error.
case. It's basically, if you're powerful, that doesn't have to be rich, but if you're connected to power, you can pretty much get away with anything.
Yeah. So it seems,
Uh,
Mark, what do you think about this?
well, I mean, I'm absolutely for accountability for politicians for doing things wrong. But like, imagine if we already had accountability in place. Trump would be abusing the shit out of it. Oh, you wore the wrong socks. You're fired. It'd be like that bad. But I called it last year, or I called it before the election, or after the last election that he won, after Biden won. I was like, if Trump ever gets back into office and he has his cronies in place,
It's over,
it's
right?
going to be hard.
Mm. And unfortunately, that's where we stand right now.
And it's not like we're not trying to do something about the situation. It's the fact that corruption is so deep and so embedded in our government right now
Mm.
that it's impossible. Even if we try to vote him out, they're already trying to gerrymander the districts. So
But
Yeah.
the
I know,
funny
but
thing,
that's for the Senate. I know what you're saying. It's for the Senate and the
no, no,
House.
no, that's not what I'm saying. The
Uh,
funny thing is that, corruption throughout the government is exactly the argument that MAGA makes when, they get charged with something.
Yep.
It's
Yeah.
all reflection.
Exactly. Yeah.
All reflection with
Yeah.
them.
But that's the
Like,
way
for instance,
their
like,
crony dictator acts. So they're gonna monkey see, monkey do. You know what I mean? They're gonna see that and think that they're entitled as well. They see him getting away with it.
it's.
You know what I mean?
I
So
think the biggest tell with Trump in anything he talks about, when he's incriminated on something, he'll deny it, and then he'll say, "Well, there's a possibility, but that's fake." Like,
mm,
for instance, with the whole Epstein thing, it's just like, "Oh, they had it, and they if my name was on it, they would have put it out, but they didn't put it out.
Obama
Now that
did
we
it.
have it, we're
yeah,
not
right.
putting it
Or
out.
Hillary did it.
And if my name's
No,
on there, they put it
he
in there.
literally
It's
blamed
just,
Obama
Yeah, I
for.
know he does anything. He always does.
No,
And
yeah,
Gavin Newsom
it's
too.
yeah, it's just with everything that's been going on. I knew he was going to be like this fucking
Oh
dick
yeah,
Trump
yeah. Like
piece of
that's
shit.
I agree.
So I mean, we do have other options that are not quite civil, but I mean, last resort maybe. I mean, it's.
One thing I will
I mean,
say,
they're already putting fucking military into the streets
which is insane. Yeah, I
just
know.
because of like it's dangerous. I can just say it's dangerous, and then there'll be fucking military everywhere.
The thing that still cracks me up the most about this whole MAGA thing and the Trump minions is if you look at the first term and now you look at the second term,
Yeah.
all the promises from the first term did not happen.
Nope.
Mexico was supposed to pay for a wall. Obviously, it didn't happen. We all knew that wasn't going to happen. But, he insisted, and of course, it never happened. The
And his
healthcare thing,
supporters never held him accountable for that.
and exactly that's what I'm essentially getting to in a sense. There was almost everything he said during his campaign trail the first term didn't happen. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
now here we are the second term with a whole new list of more lies and things he said he was going to give people when in reality with the 2025 Project 2025 deal,
Yeah.
like that basically counteract everything he said, but he don't care. And the funny thing is, the minions don't realize that they're cutting their nose off to spite their face at this point, because by going along with this charade, they're not getting anything out of it. All those lies and things he said, oh, we're going
And
to add healthcare, we're not going to slash it. They
I
already
honestly,
slashed it.
I honestly
You know what I
believe
mean? You're
that
being played.
if we do get out of this, and on the other end, I think that the reputation of all Republicans will be
I mean,
like
you would think. You would think.
you would think.
This is not
that
the brightest
they're
country
saying
right
all this
now.
stuff. There was some dude who was at a meeting with his constituents for his state or whatever, and he was like, "Oh, if you don't like my lies, then why'd you come to hear them?"
Wow, that's pretty direct.
I mean, seriously, man, and it's these politicians that are under Trump, they're not politicians.
No,
They're people
they're
who don't give
hustlers.
a shit.
Yeah,
They're like
grifters and hustlers.
business friggin' they get like business yes men. They'll do
Yeah.
whatever he wants, and that's the thing though. The fact that there is no accountability for any of these politicians, from the
Yeah,
top all the
at
way
all.
down to the bottom. Like, they say things, and then you should be like, well, you should be like thrown out because of the stuff you're doing.
Right, right. I
Nothing.
mean, the only thing I will give a little slack, or I would say cut a little slack for, is when there is a Democratic president. Sometimes, if not most of the time, they do have a lot of great proposals that, I mean, they'll put up there and they'll push for. But with our majority Supreme Court being Republican, guess what? Guess what? They don't want to make them look bad, so they're not
It's
going to pass it. You know what I mean? So it's so counterproductive in the long run.
here's my problem right now. I don't see a light at the end of the tunnel.
No,
They're
it's
trying
very
to
dim ahead.
gerrymander all the area, so we won't get the majority for the House or the Senate. And with that in place, we can't try to, throw this guy out because he's doing the wrong thing. So that'll never happen. And they're going to make it so we can't vote him out. He's going to run for a third term, which is at this point illegal, but they'll change that too.
Let's see.
And
that's what I'm interested, because I'm going to stop you right there for a split second, only because constitutionally, this is it. He technically can't. But we're
right
turning
now.
into Russia overnight here, so
But
you're right. Maybe
they do things in the middle of the night, man. They'll write these laws and they'll pass them majority fucking middle of the night with nobody
Okay,
awake.
no, but this much is clear. Per the Constitution,
Yes,
The
right now. But that was also
president.
clear that a president who engaged in insurrection should not even be allowed on the docket. And they
Right,
did that
right,
anyway.
right.
That's
But the
true.
Supreme
Yeah.
Court said, "Oh, this isn't really
So the Supreme Court will just
enforceable."
say, "Oh, well, he deserves a third term because they robbed him of the fucking whatever."
Imagine if
No,
Obama tried that.
what's more likely is that Trump would declare some state of emergency
Yeah,
and
stay on as
postpone
president
the election.
eternity.
Wow.
Oh, the whole country's corrupt. I got to come in and take
No,
out
because
all
I mean,
time.
He'll just make shit up.
he sees what
Putin's doing.
so not only Putin but
Yeah.
Zelensky is at war, and during war they suspend elections. That is pretty reasonable because you don't really want to hold an election while you're getting the shit blown out of you.
Right,
Right?
right.
I mean,
While your country's getting taken over, you're going to change like
Leadership.
political. Yeah,
Yeah,
that's
like
that's a bit awkward.
yeah, seriously.
The infrastructure is messed up, and
Well, let me touch it right
you
there.
really need,
everything's fucked up right now, man. It's just like prices are high. The fucking education system has been shit for the last 3 decades. Fucking, there are colleges now that are basically barren wastelands because nobody's going to them because either A, they don't have money, or B, people shutting them down because they're liberal. It's
Do you think
I don't consider myself a liberal or
Republican?
whatever
Conservative?
yeah.
There you go.
So I kind of go, a little bit of both ways for some things. I'll go one for one, maybe two for the other. I'm just an individual who just wants to live my life.
I used
I'm
to
a
be
little,
like that.
little more liberal with some things because I'm more tolerant.
Yeah, but I lean a little bit maybe more towards the Democratic side, only
It's
because
just
that's
that
your only hope. It
it's
really
more
is.
tolerant. It's more tolerant. But my problem with the left or the Democratic side is just that they don't move fast enough. They don't put the ass in gear and get shit done fast enough. And I know,
And they gotta
takes
be more
time,
stern about things and not so
we've had a
laid
lot
back.
of blockage from Republicans being in the House and the Senate and whatever. It's just when you have it, take full advantage. You better have a packet this thick, pre-written for when we have control of the House and Senate that says, "Hey, this is what we have planned. Everybody sign it right now. Put all the shit back to the way it was. Get rid of Cash Patel and all the other cronies, the DOJ and FBI, and just put in some
Oh,
people
their
who know
political
what the hell
appointments,
they're
they'll be
doing."
gone.
Let me ask you this. Do
Yeah.
you think that when the next election cycle comes in like give or take 3 years, there's no in considering how petty and criminalist this guy actually is, I wouldn't doubt it, but do you think he would create a disaster just to
Oh, yeah.
postpone the election?
Oh yeah,
I mean, that's
they'll go to war with
spec.
somebody.
Yeah,
All
because
They'll
right,
go to war
that's
with Canada.
speculative,
Watch.
but
You watch. They'll go to war with Canada because it's
nah,
next door.
nah, he wouldn't go to war with Canada. He'll just say there's war on American streets and it's too dangerous, and
he'll just
I
make
have
some
to
bullshit
stay.
up. Yeah, that's what I think is going to end up happening, but it's going to be
Too
on
many
us.
gangs in the streets.
But it's going to be on the
Killing
Americans
erupting.
to whether or
I
not they're
must
going to
save
believe this
everyone
shit.
because I am the killer crime fighter.
Well, I mean, at the end of the day, what can they do against it? The Supreme Court has shown its impotence in,
Hmm.
compelling or even setting a standard for a president to adhere to. He seems unmoved by the court, and the court has just emboldened him. So
He feels
I d-
impervious right now that he can
I
get
don't.
away with anything.
Yeah, so
That's the problem.
I don't really see, any type of nothing's really deterring Trump from saying, "Oh, well, I'm just going to stay because it's dangerous." And, nothing, there's no one really that can do anything about that.
Yeah,
You
that tells you
can
how great our systems actually
protest
are.
or whatever, but at
He's
the end of the
getting
day, who's going to remove him from the White House?
Exactly. That's
He's not even
the
getting
bottom line.
any pushback from anything he's doing.
The
Maybe
only
a
people
little
that
bit.
actually are people like Bernie Sanders and Newsom there.
Yeah.
I feel like there should be a lot more voices speaking out on this, but
Yeah.
Surprisingly, I can narrow it down to like 2 or 3, and it's
Well,
kind
the
of
thing
sad.
is it's tough because he's doing so many things in so many places that, it's like playing whack-a-mole because he does, you know, it's just so spread out. And, it was like this in the first term, but the
He had
first term,
limitations more.
well, it wasn't limitations. It was more like he was doing like silly things, like, silly violations of law, like, uh, Kellyanne Conway selling uh his
Alternative facts.
daughter's well, his daughter's business. It was like just silly violations of law that yeah, I mean they should be taken seriously, but they weren't like the pernicious type that he's doing now, which
Mm.
is like affecting people's rights and their lives, removing people from this country, rounding them up, um,
Well,
putting, armed military in our cities.
I wouldn't consider overturning Roe v. Wade though a minor thing because from the looks of it, that's never coming back. That's over. Didn't he do that in the first term?
No,
No, that
No,
happened.
I thought that happened in his first term.
My, I think it happened during Biden's term, maybe.
I thought it was towards the end of his first term. Maybe not.
It
Huh.
it might have been, but I mean, he didn't do that.
That's true.
His The Supreme Court did,
Yeah,
and
of
he
course.
obviously helped shape the Supreme Court.
But
But
that's
that
yep.
was,
So still had a hand in it.
yeah, but that was the court that did that. Um, but we're just gonna have a situation where he's, you know, if not him, then JD Vance or
God.
and they want to hang on to power and they want to make it as difficult as possible for the Democrats to regain office.
Right, right.
You saw like they didn't like that they lost it to Biden last time. They made up stuff about Biden stealing the election.
All faults.
Um, and so they don't want that to happen again. And we're just gonna see this play out because yeah, there's really no one to stop
Right? It's a country
him
under
from
fire right
saying.
now, really. And it's kind of sad. Really is.
strap in, folks.
I'm
Gonna
gonna
be a
do
bumpy
it.
ride.
I'm gonna do it, yeah, for real. And all right, everyone. That's all we got for this week on Strange Planet Podcast. Be sure to like, share, and subscribe. And know that new episodes will be on YouTube every Friday. May God help us all. Peace.
Peace.